Sorry for the delay. Uh, Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SciPem FICCI 100 webinar series on intellectual property. Today's topic is patent commercialization strategies for startups, innovators, and entrepreneurs. We have with us our speaker for today, Mr. Sunil Sabale, who will be taking the webinar. Mr. Sabale is a registered Indian patent practitioner, mechanical engineer, working in patent industry for more than 15 years. He is a visiting faculty at Savitri Bai Phule, Pune University, Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Intellectual Property Management, and is in the advisory panel of AISS MS IOIT New Gen IEDC. He has received a Global Achievers Award in the year 2016 and the Young Entrepreneurs Award for his excellence in the patent field. He started his career in patents by working with one of the oldest law firms in the region back in 2005. He has started Brainiac IP Solutions in the year 2010 with an intention to safeguard the invention of the companies and assist them in making more profits by saving turnaround time on R&D and by protecting the invention with maximum coverage, thereby preventing others from getting away with minor modifications. He is assisting multinational companies, SMEs, individual entrepreneurs, universities, and colleges for protecting their inventions in India and abroad. We welcome you, Mr. Sable, and with this, I would now like to hand over the presentation to you to take it forward from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. So I welcome everyone and good evening all. So we'll start with the topic. So these are my two companies, Brainiac IP Solutions and Brainiac Global. And what we do is we do file patents, trademarks, and copyrights, and do a lot of analytical work. So these are a few awards, and these are a few listings in the magazines that is already been mentioned. So before starting with the commercialization of patents, we need to understand little basics about what is a patent, how it has to be filed, what are the minimum protections, precautions that you need to take. That I will try to explain in short, and then we will go ahead with the commercialization strategies.
Sorry to come in. Your voice is coming a bit low. Can you check the speaker once?
My voice?
Yeah, it's a bit low.
Now it's better?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. So what is a patent and its requirement? Okay. So patent is a statutory right granted by the government in exchange of complete disclosure of the invention. Okay, complete disclosure of the invention is what patent office requires. In exchange of this complete disclosure, protection is given. There is some voice actually. There is some disturbance. Someone has put the mic on, not from my side. Can someone check that someone has kept microphone on? But thank you very much. Thank you very much for your cooperation. So again, it is a statutory right granted by the government in exchange of complete disclosure of your invention for a limited period of time, that is 20 years. So first is you need to disclose entire invention to the patent office. Once you file a patent application, it will not remain trade secret. Just make a note of it. And this patent documents can be utilized by many researchers to move ahead in the technology. So if you intend to file a patent application, whatever you are going to file as a patent will never remain a trade secret. Okay, and the limited period of monopoly is for 20 years, because in this limited period, the inventor or the applicants should utilize this monopoly to the maximum extent, earn out of it, and then create more inventions for the society. So that is what a limited monopoly is given for the inventors or applicants, so that they are motivated to earn and invent more. That will be indirectly beneficial to the society. Okay. So product, process, composition of matters, machines, and improvements can be patented, provided they are new globally. So there are three basic requirements of patents globally. So I'll just run you through these requirements. First is novelty. It should be new. Whatever you're going to invent, whatever product you are going to invent, process, mechanism, whatever it should be new globally, not only in India, but globally. So many people have a mistake over here as well. Second is inventive step. Even if your invention is novel, okay, in comparison to already existing technology, your invention should not be obvious to a person skilled in art. The person skilled in art, maybe, for example, if your invention is a mechanical invention, they may refer to a mechanical engineer or a diploma holder or any person who is working in the mechanical industry. So for him, your invention should not be obvious. So this is the second crucial requirement where little experts help is required. Third is industrial use or capacity to be manufactured by the industry. So if your invention is an abstract idea which cannot be manufactured or used by the industry, then it may not be patentable in India. So most of the inventions fulfill this criteria, but there is little difficulty in getting patents for software. So if you have a software patent, it should have some unique hardware and software combination to make it patentable. Okay. So these are a few contents of the patent application. I will not go through entire contents. So claims are crucial. So whatever you are going to draft as a patent document, you need to disclose completely your invention in such a way that a normal person skilled in art should be able to read and reproduce an invention. So that is a basic requirement. If that requirement is not fulfilled, again your patent application can be rejected. So just make sure that whenever you are going to file a patent application, you are giving complete disclosure. You can trick a little bit over here while giving complete disclosure. You can avoid giving know-how. You can prevent disclosing know-how. So on case-to-case basis, it can vary what is know-how. Okay, for chemical inventions, it becomes a little difficult, but for other industries, know-how can be prevented in the patent document. So claims are the crucial part of the patent document. If the claims are not drafted correctly, so it may happen that your valuation of your product may decrease, because ultimately if someone is going to invest in your patent or if someone is going to buy your patent, they are going to check what is the protection your claims are seeking, what are the boundaries protected by your claims. If the boundaries are too much narrow, if the boundaries are too narrow, then eventually you will not end up preventing a lot of competition. If the boundaries are broad enough, yes, definitely you will be able to curtail some kind of competition. So claim is the heart of the patent document, what I can say. And this is where a lot of expertise are required. And if this claims goes wrong, then I think so your valuation and I think so your aspirations may also go down big time. So I'll give you one few examples about how to draft claims and how mistakes are done while drafting claims. India is not well known in what I can say drafting. We don't have much experts in drafting in India because India started very late. In 2005, we started patenting system. Though the act was old, of 1970s, Britisher came and introduced patenting system to India in 1851. Still, all the companies in India started filing their patent application late in 2002, 2005, 6, 7. So we are pretty young to the system, and we need a lot of learning. So if this basic document is not correct, then a lot of things may not go right in future. Okay. So this is just an example. I generally use this example. It's very easy to understand. That is the reason if anyone has attended my webinar last time, so the example remains the same. So this is a portable tray that can be used in an automobile, which has some extension suction cups and a tray that is where you can mount your laptop, you can put your food articles, or you can place your wallet or your anything else that you want to keep, mobile phone, etc. Okay. So while drafting claims, if I have seen these common mistakes happening many times, many people think that they can draft claims on their own, and there the mistake happens. They end up disclosing the invention completely, and once the patent document is drafted, it's very difficult to amend because we need to amend everything within the scope whatever you have disclosed. So amendments are a little difficult. So when few what I can say, the beginners are drafting patents, these kind of claims are generally drafted. A portable shelf that is being capable of being attached to an interior portion of an automobile for providing extra space for safely accommodating various articles such as cell phone, camera, laptop, and the like. So if you see specifically in this claim, use of the article is mentioned. So use of the article, advantages of the article, these are not good claims, I can say. So most of the inventors try to claim the use. They try to prevent the use of particular product. That is not for what patents are granted. Okay, if you have an idea, the way you are implementing the idea, the construction and working is patentable, not your idea. Okay, so this claim is wrong actually. This is not going to help you in any ways because there is no construction provided. Okay, so you can refrain from using this kind of claims in your patent document. If at all you are working with some experts, make sure that this kind of claims are not written. So when people come to know that, yeah, you need to add construction in the patent document, they end up writing verbose claims. Verbose means a lot of words in a single claim. So this is the second type of mistake people do while drafting claims. Just I will read out few portion of this claim. A portable shelf is provided that is capable of being attached to an interior portion of an automobile for accommodating articles thereon. The portable shelf comprising a tray, two foldable tubes, and two suction cups. Pretty good enough in comparison to earlier claim, right? The tray is capable of being accommodating articles. Two foldable tube is horizontally attached to a portion of a tray, and blah blah blah. So basically, if you see the exact construction of the portable shelf is claimed over here. Exact portion. So this is better than earlier claims, but it will give you protection only for your existing device, existing product. It will not fence you a little broader. If someone is changing tray, if I use a bowl instead of tray, again, you may see someone infringing, someone going ahead and manufacturing a product. Instead of two foldable tubes, they are using only tubes which are not foldable, or they are using something else. Then again, they may get out of your claims and again avoid infringements. So this is a good claim to get a protection, but not good enough to curtail competition. Sorry. The preferred way. There can be much better ways. This is just an example. Just I want to give you a little better way of writing claims. The first is a preamble, a portable shelf capable of being attached to an interior portion of an automobile. For accommodating articles, the portable shelf comprising a receptacle. Now, just a tweak is done. Instead of tray, it is a receptacle for accommodating article. Second, little fine tuning, at least one extending member horizontally attached to a portion of a receptacle. Okay. Now, at least one extending member can be anything. It can be a foldable tube. It cannot be a folding tube. It is just need to be extending. It can be elongated, any kind of object, and it can be one elongated member. So that is how little breadth of protection is given to your existing product. At least one attaching mechanism. Now there is no suction cup mentioned over here. Now anything that you use for attaching it, which is coupled to a free end of the extending member, again that will be an infringement. Okay, so attaching mechanism can be a suction cup, it can be a Velcro, it can be some adhesives or anything that is obvious. It can be hooks also. Okay. So this is a little better version of writing claims where not only your product is protected, but you're creating a broader giving broader protection to your invention, where by doing smaller modification, no one can get away with your invention. Okay. So basically, people understand that they want to file a patent application to get protection. They are just behind getting protection. I want to protect my invention. I want to protect my invention. Means what? You want to have a patent claims like this, where your product is safeguarded. Okay. By filing patent application, no one can eliminate infringement. Even if you get a patent grant, still you may infringe something. So grant of a patent application will not validate that you are not infringing anything. So basically, why patents are filed, the little thought has to be changed. The patent has to be filed to create entry barriers to your competitors. It is also for protecting your invention, but basically it should create an entry barriers to your competitors. If the entry barriers are not strong, then all the expenditure that you have done on patenting is all wasted, I can say. So this is one of the patents. If the entire patent portfolio goes wrong, you may see what may happen. So this is the base of any foundation, if the document is not correct, the whatever things I'm going to explain later on may not be effective, and you will not be able to achieve those things as well. Okay. So advantages of filing patent applications. So basically, whenever you are inventing something, you're definitely helping someone. Humans you are helping basically. So you are solving some kind of problems and you are bringing some ease to the humans. So that is how inventions are created. In creating these inventions, you definitely, when you file patent applications, you definitely get recognitions. If you see the number one company in India who is filing a lot of patents is Qualcomm, right? Globally, it's IBM. So globally, the number of patent filed till date is by Japan again. So Japan leads in number of patent filing in total. So you get recognition if you're working somewhere. If you're an inventor in a company, definitely you can stand out in the crowd, and definitely it will help you in future careers also. Okay, if you are a faculty, if you are a student, if you want to go for job opportunities in future, if you want to take it as a startup also, if you want to start in a startup, so this will definitely help you out in standing out in the crowd. So it may be easier for people in the R&D to recruit you because you have already done something. If you are already a faculty, it may help you in getting promotions. I have seen a lot of people in academics who have received or who have gained a lot of promotions by using periods, because most of the people are now PhD holders. So only PhD is not helping nowadays, I guess. Okay. And definitely you need to earn money. Okay. Hello, someone is unmuted, I guess. So the main purpose of filing patent application is definitely you will get recognition, you can stand out in the crowd, you will get fame a bit. But the basic motto of filing patent application should be always to earn money. It should be always to earn money. Otherwise, it is called as a profile patents, which may not lead in any returns on investment. So a lot of universities, a lot of colleges are struggling on this.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Yes.
Hello. Sir, can you please
Hello.
will you please speak slide slowly?
Okay. Definitely. Okay. So earning money should be the basic motto of a filing patent application. So most of the universities and colleges are struggling with this kind of earning aspect of the patent application. So they are struggling. The patents that are filed by these companies are not been licensed, or very few are licensed. Most of the patent portfolio is been just lying with them. When a patent application is granted, so filing a patent application is not that expensive, but when a patent application is granted, it becomes a botheration, because a lot of money is required to just keep your patent live. So if there is no earning out of patents, then it is a botheration or it's liability for any inventor or a company or an institute. So basically, institutes are struggling with licensing, companies are struggling with ROI, because they are not able to establish correlation between what they have done with this expenditure, what kind of output they are getting, because it's not still tangible for them. So I will try to explain few steps, few steps which are being used by few prominent international companies. Okay. So basic intention for filing patent application, as I told you earlier, it should be to prevent competition, because it's a negative right. If you are not able to prevent competition, your patent application is just a paper patent, or it will just give you a protection which is limited, which may not be effective in preventing competition. Okay. So strategies, will come down to the strategies. These are strategies. This strategy, what a basic strategy I have given over here, which can be utilized by any individual if they want to start a company. This may not be useful for individual inventors. The first strategy, I have strategies for everyone. The first strategy won't be useful for individual inventors. I have a second strategy, but the people who intend to form a company, they may definitely utilize the strategy. Okay. So stage one, what generally happens is most of the people, when they start a company, when they start a startup, or when they do an R&D, of course, I'm talking about the people who don't know about the strategies. So most of the people, what they do is they end up inventing something that they like. right? So that becomes little emotional to them, and that emotions may not always be right. So market study is very crucial to understand what is selling in the market. You should not be emotional with your product. Yeah, definitely, it's like a child to you. I have seen people they are very emotional with their parents. I can understand, but don't be emotional. That is what you can be rational enough while inventing something. Don't go on inventing randomly anything that you see. Then it becomes very difficult to sell. Even if you found something, definitely first do some market study whether that is really selling in the market or not, or whether you are only the one who thinks it would be sold. Okay, so understanding what is sold in the market is what you need to understand first when you're doing a market study. Which kind of technology is being sold in that particular domain? What kind of technology is coming? What kind of progressions are happening in those particular domain? You have to understand who are your competitors. If you don't know your competitors, you may end up losing your competition, because if you see there are if for example your competitor is an Apple, so you need a lot of investments on R&D if your competitors are big companies. If your competitors are small companies, definitely it will be a little easier for you. But if the competitors are having a lot of funds, then they may move ahead very quickly in comparison to your pace. So that is also very crucial to understand who is your competitors. Without that, you won't be able to strategize your future progress. Second, in which countries your products can be sold. For example, India and Africa, Brazil. So sugarcane industries are more in these countries, for example. So if you're developing something related to sugarcane in these countries, it can be useful. If it is related to automobiles, so Europe, German, China, US, and now eventually Japan and India, we are also getting into that competition. So this kind of market research, countries in which your product can be sold, also needs to be understood. Otherwise, what happens is I have seen many people inventing something which is useful for some other country. Because of lack of fund, they don't reach out there, and after a few years, they see that same product has been doing well in other countries. So that may also happen. So doing a market study is what I would recommend to start first, instead of going ahead with identifying an idea or a product to start inventing. These are just recommendations that you can follow. You can come up with your own versions as well. How patents can help you. So patent document, as I told you earlier, consists of all technical disclosures. Okay. Patents are generally filed at least few years in advance. For example, if you're seeing any technology in your hand today, the patents are filed at least 5 to 6 years back. So always you will see what is going to come in future. So these patents are generally published, and then you can use this patent application to map what is going to come in future. So market study also can be done by patent landscapes, which is more effective and which is more effective in understanding the technology. It may not be effective in understanding commercial aspect, but it would be easy to understand investments. So investments where people are doing a lot of investments in R&D and filing patents, it will be obvious that in those geography, in those technologies, there would be high returns. So that is how patent landscapes are prepared. So this can be utilized. If you think that this can be utilized, you can definitely use it. So these are all technical disclosures. So understanding and developing new product will be very easy because you can read the patent documents. Patents are filed, as I told you earlier, so it will be easy to understand future trends, easy to understand geography to sell, competitors, white space. Even you can identify if there are some bias for your technology. So nowadays, what has happened? There is a little reverse in the trend. So many big companies are inviting inventors to sell their technology. They are inventing, but many countries, many companies are open to buy the technology, provided they are effective technologies. So that also people are exploring out. Instead of inventing, they are finding patents which that can be utilized or can be bought by the company. So this also area will help you in deciding commercial strategies. Second step, vision for future technology. So when you see what is happening today, it will not give you a perspective what may happen in future, right? So at least, for example, you are today, you need to have a vision of at least 6 to 7 years down the line, what technologies can come, what breakthrough can happen in the technology, what new versions can erupt, and which may destroy some existing technologies. So that will help you in creating a good product. If that is not there, if you start inventing today, if you're identifying a problem today and you are giving solutions that are very feasible for today, in the future that may not be useful. So at least you have to invent at least 5 years in advance. So that is how it will help you. Otherwise, it will not. It means you will have a market share for 1 year or 2 years, and then you need to vanish out. It will not be a long sustaining company. Okay. So understanding psychology of the buyers, when you have a vision, you have to identify how to identify future aspects. The psychology of the buyers, what kind of products they are buying, what kind of things they like, what are the likes and dislikes, how can you influence them? That is what you need to understand. Benchmarking of your technology with other technologies, for example, automobile industry and mobile technology. So everything is been now integrated. Everything is now AI driven. Okay, so this kind of benchmarking with other technologies will also help you in understanding where the technology can move in future. So if some technology is moving very fast, definitely you can try to cope up with those kind of technologies so that you can develop something compatible for future. Intuitive decision making. So this is a little tricky. Intuitive decision making. Intuition is many people think that intuition is a little difficult to understand. It becomes something that is weird. So intuition is nothing that weird, I can say. So intuition is based on the data you get. The mind gives you some output. So that is these are also very good inputs that you can try to manifest, I can say. So that this will definitely help you, because intuition is also based on the database. Whatever data you're going to feed to your mind, based on that, your mind is going to give you some intuitions that will be more productive than the graphical calculations or the mathematical calculations that you're going to do. Step 3, product development. So now once you have understood everything about your market and what you're going to sell, then you can come down to product development. Okay, so then you can find a problem, you can identify a problem that is existing in a technology which has not been solved. You can try to give solutions for that particular technology. Once you have ideated something, once you have an idea in your mind, so second step is you have to do a patentability search. So it is recommended to do a patentability search, because at the stage of ideation itself, you would be in a position to decide whether this technology is useful or it is not useful. If it is not patentable, you should not invest more on that particular technology, or directly you can buy that technology from some patent holder. That would be easy, right? Instead of going ahead and spending a lot of money on R&D. So at this stage only, if you do a patentability search, it will save a lot of expenditures on R&D. Okay. Then after doing a patentability search, you can develop a patentable product, which can be filed for a patent application. So it can be one product or multiple products, depending upon what are you going to develop actually. And once the patent document is filed, and once you and after that, now you are ready to launch a product in the market, as I told you earlier. So even if you file a patent application, it does not guarantee that no one is going to pursue you for infringement. There are always possibilities, whether you have a patent document, granted patent, or whether you are not having a patent. There is always possibility that someone is holding patent for total or partial portion of your invention. So to just check before launching a product in the market, you have to do freedom to operate. That is called as infringement of your product analysis. So we generally call it, in patent industry, we call it freedom to operate search. So that has to be done before launching a product. That will help you in understanding the future aspects, whether you need to do any licensing agreements, whether you need to talk to anyone, or directly you can launch the product freely in India or any other country. So freedom to operate search is country specific. So to give a blanket opinion, it becomes very difficult, because as most of the patents are not filed everywhere. So it is jurisdiction specific, and it is a little more crucial, and it is more costly. So you can do a freedom to operate search based on whichever jurisdiction you want to launch a product. So this can also be done before even going ahead with the product development. If you think that there are a lot of infringement happening. Still, you can eradicate that and come up with something that is not having any infringement issues. So that also can be done before developing a product. So most of the MNCs are doing this now, because apart from India, freedom infringement, people pursue you for infringement immediately. In US, China, Europe, immediately they will pursue you for infringement the day you launch a product, because these are more competitive countries. If you want to do a patentability search on your own, so you can take a screenshot of this and you can do it on your own. So you can start with Google. So normal Google search will give you a lot of inputs. Then you can start with worldwide eSpaceNet patent.google.com. If you want to specifically search Indian database, then you can go ipindia.nic.in on that website and search for Indian patent database. And free patents online, patscope.wipo.in, and non-patent literatures. So when you're doing a patentability search, not only patent documents you have to search, but you have to check non-patent literatures as well. Because any document that is available to the public in any form can destroy novelty. So you have to check both patent and non-patent document. That is the reason I have given you a list of non-patent literature database like Google, Google Scholar, Google Science, PubMed, IEEE, or any other product, Amazon, Alibaba, or any other product website also can be relevant for it. Okay, so you can take a screenshot. So patenting strategy. Now, for example, if you have developed a product and now you want to go ahead with the patenting. Now you want to file a patent applications for it. So how to decide how many patents or one patents you have to file? So many a time people mistaken and file a single patent application, which becomes a deterrent in future for taking legal action or filing infringement suits against the competitors. Okay. So what happens is, for example, you have developed, for example, there is an IC engine where you have done some modification, two or three modifications are there. If you combine all three modifications in single patent application, yes, definitely it will be granted because it will become a narrow claim. But if you want to stop someone who is copying one of the aspect of that invention, another aspect or third aspect of that invention, then it becomes difficult. That person has to copy all three aspects of your invention. Then only you would be able to take infringement action. Otherwise, it becomes difficult. That is the reason this strategy is also very important. How many patents you want to file on a single product that you have developed, that will also define what kind of protection you will get in future, or what kind of competitions you are going to prevent in the future. So identifying number of inventions that can be copied separately, as I told you. So your duty is to identify which portions of your inventions can be copied separately. Okay. At least you have to file those many patents separately. There are 4 aspects of your invention which can be copied separately. So at least 4 patents are recommended to file. Okay, you can file multiple patents. It depends upon the funding that are available with you to create defense, but at least minimum 4 or 3, whatever number of components can be copied or aspects can be copied separately. That much number of patents you have to file. Again, mapping claims and checking scope of protection. As I told you earlier, this is basically with respect to claims, whether your claims are drafted in the right way or not, whether the number of patents that are filed are covering your product or not. That also has to be checked in future. Otherwise, if there are some open ends that you need to close by patents, so that no one can get away with those modifications. So this mapping is also required when you launch a product in the market. And if you have funds, if you are capable to do this, additional patent applications are recommended to fence your technology. For example, you came up with one product. For example, if I'm developing what I can say, an example. For example, there is one example where I'm giving one solution for that product, one problem, one solution I figured out. Okay, as an inventor. So you filed 3-4 patents for that particular one solution. But if an R&D team keeps their ask their R&D people to do some reverse engineering on that, they may come up with different solutions. Okay, if they come up with different solutions, definitely they are going to be your competitors. Okay, same problem, You have filed a patent applications for one solution and they come up with different solutions. So they are also eligible for that particular, getting grant for that particular patents. So this way, what happens is your competitors may try and get into your market. To curtail this kind of competitions, what is recommended is one problem, all solutions. At least all solutions, whatever comes to your mind, can be protected under patent. Whether you use it or not, that is a different issue. But if you want to prevent some competition, definitely you have to have this kind of patent portfolio. Otherwise, you won't be able to prevent your competitors from entering into your technology. Similarly, this happens with the individual inventors as well. If they file a single patent application and they think that people will buy their invention, but that doesn't happen. So what happens is sorry. What happens is most of the time I have seen very less success cases in India. I don't know whether you have any success history of any successful people who have licensed their patent with a lot of money, getting a lot of money. I have seen very few. So with one patent, people start expecting too much. That doesn't happen actually. So if you see big companies have more than 1,000, 2,000 or lakhs of patents in their portfolio. So that is the reason they just create fence around the technology. So fence can be done by two ways. Fence one, you can do it yourself. And if the competitor does the fencing, then it becomes difficult for you to innovate and go ahead in that particular domain of technology. So this is little tricky part. If your competitor fences your product by patents, then it will be difficult for you to innovate and move ahead in particular domain. Okay. Someone wants to speak. The mic is on. Okay. So you have done everything. Now you have filed a patent applications and everything in its place. But what people don't do is they don't identify potential infringers. Okay, as I told you earlier, if you are not able to take any legal action against your infringers, definitely people will just rise, and they think that you are not going to take any legal action. So you'll see a lot of competition coming up in your particular domain. So identifying infringers is also crucially important when you are filing a patent application. So it does not end with just grant. Okay, so showing your presence, why to file infringement, why to identify infringers is you can send them legal notice, you can send, you can file a legal suit, you can go by arbitration, you can go for licensing agreements with them. So this will show that you are a little serious about your product, little serious about your patenting, and naturally, psychologically, people will back up. They will not enter into this domain because they think that you're pursuing your inventions very aggressively. So this is also important if you want to show your market that you are working very aggressively on your patents or infringes. Okay. Patent audit. So we people, I mean, everyone actually, everyone needs an audit actually. So financial audit is well known in the industry. Everyone checks at the year end. They hire a CA and they check what is where and what has went wrong and where we have spent more, where we can, what we have earned and what are the losses that we have incurred. So, but IP audit is not so prevalently done or not so effectively done in India as of now. So IP audit will help you in validating the existing patent portfolio to understand what are the patents that are useful, means on which the products are launched and they are running successfully in the market, and what are the patents that are not useful, that are just filed for the protection sake, or they are not even creating entry barriers. So if those patents are there lying with you and you are paying maintenance fees for them, for example, if you have 1,000 patents which are not useful, for every patent you are paying at least 20,000 rupees per year. So you can just calculate how much amount of money it's going into just maintaining these patents, right? So that insights is also useful by doing an IP audit. At least in a 2 or 3 years you have to do, not annually if it is not possible, and yearly, at least in 2 or 3 years once you have to do it. That would give you an insight of what is happening with your patent portfolio. Also, IP audit will help you in identifying potential patents which you are not using, but there may be some infringers where you can approach them and license them. You can join hands with someone. So those opportunities also can rise up by doing a patent audit. Okay. Next is trade secret. So this is little diversified from the topic that I am discussing over here. The intention that I have included trade secret is it's more important than patents. It's more crucial than patents. If you see Coca-Cola, they have kept their formula as a trade secret for more than 100 years, which is not possible by patents, which is impossible, I can say. So in comparison to any kind of protection, trade secret is very crucial. Okay, most important aspect of company because what I can say, if something of the USP of your company, for example, the USP that on which your company is running, if that is leaked, definitely it will be a major loss for your company because most of the trade secrets are the heart of the company. Based on that, you are able to satisfy your customers. You are able to give good services. You are able to reduce your expenditures. So there will be a lot of things. Okay. Most of the information, this is bad, really bad, but most of the information, we did a little survey on trade secret. Basically, Coca-Cola formula was leaked by their employees only, and they went to Pepsi actually, but they didn't bought it. Ethically company actually, good ethics they had. So Pepsi didn't bought their trade secret. Somehow it was leaked in last few 5-10 years back. So most of the trade secrets are carried away by the employees or by the partners. Okay, so you have to be a little crucial with this trade secret because nothing else can create more competition than your trade secrets. Okay, there is no separate protection for trade secret. Only agreements are there. You have to make sure that you have right kind of agreements in place so that your trade secret remains with you or your company. Okay. So this is just a definition of trade secret. Trade secret is any practice or process of a company that is generally not known outside of the company. Information considered a trade secret gives the company an economical advantage over its competitors and is often a product of internal research and development, which may be more crucial than patent. Okay, so what can be a trade secret? Formulas, definitely, patents, compilation of data, programs that you're running inside, devices that you may have developed for you, methodologies, techniques that you're using for anything, processes, majorly customer list. So it's very, very crucial. Most of the companies nowadays, what happens is one person leaves the company, carries some customers with them, to start a new company. This is a general trend that is happening. So customer list is very crucial, I can say. So that is mostly carried by in-house people only. No other person can carry this customer list. Okay, manufacturing processes. So these are very crucial, and you can think and protect it by agreements. So recommended strategy for startups. So I have given a general strategy which can be used by everyone. So specifically, startups have a different issue. The startup have issue of funding basically, so that makes it a little tricky for them to use this patenting system very effectively. Okay, so a few things that they can use. There are a lot of schemes given by government where they can encash upon it. I don't help people in getting these funds because I'm little not so good in getting this kind of funds, and I have never done it. But I have seen there are a lot of government schemes are floating in the market where you can get at least 70% or 75% back on your investment on IP. That you can try. Startup facilitators are also there, where you don't need to pay anything to those startup facilitators. They will do everything for you. You need to pay them for analytical work, patentability searches, but patent drafting, filing, examination, answering examination, they will do for you without any cost. I don't recommend them. The only reason is they are paid very less, and so the desired output you may not get because the fees are substantially low, substantially low when you contact a startup facilitator. So I doubt how much justification that they can do with your for your invention. Okay, filing your own provisional application. Okay, so you can file provisional applications on your own. Don't invest or hire any experts for drafting and filing provisional application. There you can save some cost. And if you think that provisional application can convert into a product, then only go to the expert and get it drafted correctly. Okay, so that you can do. You can file multiple provisional specifications, and you can just save some cost. Okay, avoid drafting commit specification on your own. Definitely don't file and don't file profile patent. Profile patent, there is also a little problem with the startups actually, and the investors lack, because of the lack of knowledge. Investors are also not aware what kind of protection they are getting, and startups, yeah, definitely they are also not having what does patent means. There is a mess, some kind of mess that is there in between investors and the startup. If both are not well versed with the patenting system, both will lose on both the ends. So consulting someone who knows patents is better when there is an investor involved, who is trustworthy for both the parties. A third person who is unknown to both the people. That is the way out can be done. So this is a little tricky when it comes to startups. So for colleges, actually, colleges also, it is little challenging nowadays. I have seen a lot of colleges struggling for licensing their patent application because granted patents have become a burden to them. Fast patent, a lot of patents have been filed. In comparison to filing cost, maintenance cost is huge. It's huge. And so every year your budget for patenting is reduced and consumed only by this maintenance cost. So just a recommended way, you can create a cluster. So my MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, it does this. So what they do is they create a clusters of patents. They create a clusters of patents, and out of that clusters, they form startups. They utilize this patent cluster and they form a startup. Most of the time in colleges, what is happening is even if there is a single guide, the inventions are very much diversified. Very much diversified. Again, there is an emotional touch to it, which is not recommended. It can be a little practical. Instead of giving liberty to the students, at least the mentors can monitor and they can guide them and create a portfolio where the complete product or one problem, multiple solutions are protected. So this will create a good cluster to start a patent application. So this may help you a little bit. Otherwise, second option is you can talk to the companies directly before inventing anything and license them. This is what we can do. So for individual inventors, when the cost is little high, individual inventors they struggle with everything actually because they don't have fundings, and it is really difficult to say that their one invention can be a benchmark invention and they can create huge money out of it. So this strategy is specifically for individual inventors who have limited budget on patenting. So as I told you earlier, entry barriers, one problem, all solutions. Second is talk to the company, identify a company to whom you want to sell a patent application. You have to be pinpointed focus. Your focus should be very narrowed down. A problem should be very narrowed down. You can focus a problem of a company, or you can directly talk to a company and then develop a product. So this will definitely give you opportunity for licensing. If you're developing something on your own and then you're going and identifying some companies, many times, even if your product is good, they may not buy because maybe they have their vision is not there for your product. They don't have that vision for your product. That may happen. So commercialization is very poor when you don't want to manufacture and sell a product on your own, when you don't know to take it on your own. So talking to a company would solve a lot of funding issues and you can save a lot of money. That is what you can do. A few examples, few failed examples. 2003, 110 was launched by Nokia. Everyone, I have used this phone. It was a very good phone at that time. And Nokia had a large market share in India. India, it is globally, not only in India, it had a good market share in globally, and it was the leader in the mobile phones. But and by 2007, it had almost 50% of the market share. I think so. None of the company today, even Apple, Samsung, have that kind of market share till date. So that kind of market share Nokia had. But in 2013, it was sold to Microsoft. The reason is they didn't have a vision, management. I think so. I have pointed out the reasons also. So these are from that particular sources, medium.com. On this, I have read this. Many observers, what they found is Nokia's technology was inferior. The arrogancy among top level management was there. They were very adamant because they were the leaders in that industry. And second thing was lack of vision. That was the reason they failed. So this is one of the example which company was failed because of lack of R&D. Now this is an amazing example which this company failed because of R&D. They did a lot of R&D and that is the reason they failed. This is Kodak actually. First digital camera was created in 1975, way ahead in time. They are investing a lot and lot of money on R&D without any strategies. Because if you see this camera, digital camera, I don't know who would have used it. Okay, and they failed. For example, they failed later on. They failed that these cameras can be integrated into mobile. When these cameras were integrated into mobile, the market got crashed actually completely for this cameras. So bankruptcy protection was filed in 2012 by Kodak again. So if there is no direction in the R&D, so these two extreme examples I have taken where someone has not done anything and someone has done very aggressively. Both the things should not happen. There has to be some midway where you are seeing something tangible happening in 4-5 years of time. Technology is also evolving. The buyers are also need to evolve. They need to be mature enough to buy your product. If something is way ahead in time, maybe buyers may not like to buy it. Okay. Some other examples, we don't use floppy nowadays. CDs are almost not so much used. I think so. This pen drive and hard disk also may vanish in near future because everyone is turning to SSD cards and cloud and everything. So maybe this kind of identification is required. So if anyone wants to go for expert examination, they have some amendments in the rule. So there are a few facilities that are given. So you can check the website. You can see this. I'll skip this. And there are some statistics of the company. So Qualcomm is filing a lot of patents in India. Tata Group. And there are a few Indian companies that are filing a lot of patents in application in India. So this is the data by Patsia. I had a little less time, so I have used this data. And it's the data of 2018-19. Okay. So there is a lot of need to develop R&D and IP in such a way that everything becomes profitable. So R&D is been done at a very nice level in India, but IP has been ignored because many people think that it is just a filing system where you need to just file it, just get some protection and leave it. That is not the case actually. You have to be little more crucial when you are filing patent application or you are deriving a patenting strategy so that you yourself or your company can grow. Okay, so this is our channel, Brainiac IP Solutions, where you can browse little more strategies over there. I have given few more strategies on patenting system. So there you can browse even patentability requirements and all other stuffs are also there that you can see. This is a Facebook page where you can connect with the like-minded people, inventors world, engineers, doctors, scientists, entrepreneurs, and investors can join this group so that at least you can hold hand and bring out something good to the society. To check patent quality, I have written a small book. It's a very small book because if the fundamental or the base is not strong, everything that you are going to think is going to just collapse. So just to check whether you are in the right direction, I have given this, written this very small book, which is of 30 to 35 pages, patent quality check. Okay, so this you can buy on Amazon. This you can buy on Amazon.
Hi, I'm a third year law student from Gujarat National University, and I have just a question regarding this. Can I ask it now or maybe like later?
Yeah, almost I have done with my question presentation, so you can go ahead and ask it. No problem.
Thank you. So, sir, regarding how to go about a patent and regarding the strategy, you've explained very well till now, and that was very insightful. But for, say, a budding law student to consider IP law in general as a career, do you have any tips as to how they can progress and which kind of firms to go and say intern under, etc.? Like IP in general as a career path. What would you suggest?
For law students, definitely there are a lot of great opportunities because there are litigations happening in India, so there you can pitch in. There is a lot of trademark litigations, trademark filing, so copyright issues are there. So there is a good prospect for IP lawyer without technical background also. So you can start your career with any law firm who is more focusing on trademark and litigation aspects and who has lesser focus on patenting. That is what I can recommend.
Thank you.
I hope that answers your question.
All right.
So that's it from my side. So if you have any questions, you can just ask.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
So actually in India, like you said, that people are very protective about their innovations and invention. So they like to keep it a secret, the process and everything. So is that a hurdle for the development of IPR in the country?
No. Actually, what happens is when it is a technical product, it's very easy to reverse engineer it. When it is some composition, for example, what is trade secret till now? What I have told you. So you cannot keep a trade secret which is a mechanical invention, which is an electronic invention. You can keep secret some formulas, KFC recipe you can keep secret, Coca-Cola formula you can keep secret. The way I am doing business that you can keep secret. But it is difficult to keep your inventions secret, because if you're doing it everything on your own, then it's okay. And if you're not doing it on your own, and if you want to pitch for investors, if you want to sell something out to someone, then I think so it is not a good idea to keep it secret.
So if a firm keeps it a secret, and another firm which is in some other state or anything unknowingly creates the same invention and patents it first, so what remedies does the first company have against them, as they have the prior use of the invention and commercialization?
So if they have commercialized it, means it is publicly available, right?
Yeah.
So it destroys, according to the Patent Act, once your patent application or patented invention or any product is sold, your date of sale, you destroy novelty in exchange of money. It is a willful disclosure. So that day novelty is destroyed. So I think so. Your question is a little contradicting. If it is sold in the market, it is not trade secret. If it is a mechanical product, it may not remain trade secret. For patenting, again, for example, if it is one-on-one match, the other party which is developing and filing a patent application later on unknowingly, if at all the product is not synced, then they can get a patent. If it is same, then they won't get a patent, actually.
Not commercialized by.
If it is not commercialized, then it can remain as a trade secret. In that case, second party get a patent.
So I have a question.
Am I clear? Did you got the answer? The earlier question?
I didn't get the last part.
See, if the product is trade secret, and if it is not sold, and if second company by mistake manufactures, identifies or develops that product, they files for a patent, then second company deserves it to get a grant. First company will not be able to manufacture and sell it later on.
So they can't even challenge the patent.
No. They have to show it is a theft. If it is not a theft, something is not leaked from their premises, then they cannot do anything out of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Next
Sir,
question.
Sir, I have a question. Suppose there are a lot of formula available in Ayurveda. So you find if there is a tradition in some small village of India and want to get patented some medicine or some good for health, anything which is good for health, can anyone go for patenting of that formula, that method?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, we have filed few patent application for Ayurvedic products. So if it is the composition that you are going to use together, 4 elements you are going to use together, and the effect is something which is not documented yet.
Okay.
Definitely you can go for patent.
So who can go? Suppose it is a tradition of my parenting village. From immemorial, one generation to another generation, it is coming. So who is the owner of that method?
For that reason, there is a traditional knowledge bank. Actually, India has created a traditional knowledge bank where a lot of such knowledge has been kept online. So the problem earlier was our traditional knowledge was not available online. So that was the reason many people in US were filing patents for yoga, basmati, or haldi, turmeric. So that is not happening nowadays because now this traditional knowledge is there online.
Yeah, I understand.
So if it is not online, for example, if in your case, for example, that bank does not have that data, then it becomes a little difficult to validate whether it is a traditional knowledge or not.
So it will all become gambling. Suppose I go to the patenting office and file a patent for a tradition available in my village, and after some time it is searched, no, it was available in another village in Kerala. So who will decide who is correct?
No. In your case, what you need to do is, you need to oppose this kind of patents. If you identify someone has filed this patent application, which is a traditional knowledge in your area, or which you know as a traditional knowledge. So based on the historical events that have been used, where it has been used, how it has been used, you can challenge those patents. That is what we did with US. Someone has to challenge it.
Right.
Because government doesn't have that database. Government will say that I didn't found it online, so get the patent. You'll get the patent.
Okay. So it will go worldwide, I believe. It will not be limited to.
No. It depends upon the capacity of the individual. Indian patent is only gives protection only in India. US patents gives protection only in US. So every country there has to be a separate patent. If the party is well funded, then they can go for it.
I understand. Yeah. Thank you for clearing.
Thank you.
Hello, sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, in the initial part, you said that monopoly is for a period of 20 years.
Correct.
So now, sir, the operating system we have on our laptops and smartphones, their cores are patented. So how to protect further? I mean, after 20 period of year, can we say that Apple OS or Android would be public? Their cores.
Definitely it will be public, but would you use Windows 95 now on this PC?
No, I won't. But the advanced version, I mean, the codes are public. Now, can those be used in a advanced version? And people know the first step. So how it would be easy for a person to develop an advanced version of it.
Yeah,
but
so what are we talking about?
Microsoft. So can they claim infringement?
Yeah. See, the OS that you're talking about, Apple, Microsoft, whatever they have done, Windows, these OS are protected under copyright.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So copyright has an extended period of protection. It has 50 years. If a copyright is filed by a company, they have protection for 50 years, which is pretty long.
Yes, sir.
And second thing, copyright, there is no requirement of filing system. Even if you don't file a copyright application, it is not like patent. You need to file a patent application to take legal action against someone. For example, today I launched my OS directly on website. That is an evidence that my OS is launched. For example, I am Sunit OS. Today I launched. So from tomorrow onwards, if someone copies same thing, even if I have not done a copyright for it, still I can take legal action. But it has to be a dicto copy. That is a limitation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Your voice is cracking.
Sorry, your voice is cracking. We can't hear you.
Basically,
can you type your question?
I am an individual inventor.
Okay.
Is it clear now?
No, you are not audible.
So his question is, I think it's laid down in the chat box. He says, I'm an individual inventor holding 26 patents filed and 2 patents granted in the areas of automotive and food processing. 4 of my other applications have cleared examination and likely to be granted. What would you suggest me to take steps in assigning those or at least one?
Okay. Mr. Prem, right? So, Mr. Prem, first thing you have to do is whether your patent applications are good to enforce or good to create barriers or not, that you have to check on your own first. Second thing, before simultaneously you can start disclosing your invention to the potential buyers. You need to identify the companies who would be in a position to buy your products. So if there are 26 products in diversified domain, for example, it's automobile and food processing, so you have to identify companies like Mahindra, Tata, food processing like Amul and all those companies. Disclose because there is no fear of theft now. You already have filed patent applications, so you can freely disclose them. And if at all you fear, you can sign a non-disclosure agreement with them at least, and then you can take it up. I guess that would be easiest way. Or if you have a lot of fundings, then you can start manufacturing and selling it on your own. So that also can be done. Mr. Prem, was I audible?
Yeah,
Okay.
we could hear you. I think he heard you as well. So, do we have any more questions?
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I have a good evening, sir. Thank you for a wonderful webinar. So I have a very basic question that, for example, say that just for now, I'm going to use this example as, for example, somebody patents for a chair, simple chair, wooden
Okay.
chair, with all the modifications possible, like how you can use a chair, how you can modify it. Is it possible for another guy for like who creates a recliner, which can be changed into a bed or anything? Can he file the patent for that modification? I mean, will it be challenged or something like that?
If the earlier person has not filed a patent for recliner, okay, his patent does not include an invention which is for recliner. Definitely, the second guy can get a patent. Now, while designing this recliner, he has used most of the concepts from the chair, right? Most of the things are used from a basic chair. So he may be infringing patents of the first inventor. So he may end up giving some royalty to the first inventor. That is what can happen.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Do we have any further questions?
So, may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
So, actually, I'm a law student and I have IPR as my specialization subject, and I am from a commerce background. So, can I practice in patent too?
You can handle litigation cases in the court, but understanding technology would be a little difficult for you. But definitely, you can go in the court and take legal suits for sure. You can draft agreements. Patent drafting and prosecution will be a little difficult, but other aspects of the patents where legal knowledge is required, definitely you can pitch in.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir. May I just ask you one question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so we already know as the patents are granted only for 20 years, for a period of 20 years. So I just wanted to know the idea of legislation behind granting a patent for this limited period of 20 years. I mean, any specific reasoning or any background for having it only for 20 years?
Yeah, definitely. Earlier, the patents were granted, were given protection for 14, 15 years globally. So everyone had their own patent law. So when we signed international treaties like WTO, World Trade Organization treaties, PCT and Paris Convention Treaty, according to those treaty, the limitation has been extended to 20 years. Now the limited period is 20 years. The reason for 20 years is, see, for example, there is a good technology that has been invented by someone. If that particular person gets a patent perpetually, what can happen is, for example, I have invented a drug which is very good for curing any kind of cancer, for example, brain tumor. So if I get a monopoly for extended period of time, unlimited time, I can sell the product at any cost. That is not beneficial to the society. So limited period is given so that the inventor has some motivation to earn and the benefits come to the society frequently. And it does not take away the benefits from the society. So it is win-win situation between the society and the inventors.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the explanation.
So let's take one last question. After this, we'll conclude the session. So it's the same question from Prem Gupta. It's in the chat box.
What is the question?
It's called one thing I note is that global licensing entities do not respect or even consider Indian patents granted. They suggest in filing and taking it granted in US or UK or China. I cannot afford such a huge cost. However, are there any Indian entities really successful in India? How far is patent licensing, in your opinion, really happening in India?
Yeah, definitely. As I told you earlier during my presentation itself, so it's very minimal. So basic problem with Indian system is we are lacking in the basics actually. The patent draft that has been created is of very poor quality actually. Even it is difficult to take any legal action. Many people show us drafts that come to us and they say that you take legal action. We can take, but winning a case would be very difficult. This is first thing. Second thing, when you're approaching international companies which don't have presence in India, they would definitely won't buy your patent application because your patent application is published, and once it is published, it is free to use in other countries. So, for example, your patent application now cannot be challenged in US or UK. They can use it without your permission. So you have to be a little strategic enough in which countries your patent application can have protection. Otherwise, you will keep on disclosing the technology, which may be utilized or may not be utilized by some other people. So, and second thing, India problem with India is, I will tell you, it is my personal experience. If you see, apart from pharmaceutical industry, none of the companies are filing litigation cases. So that is the biggest problem. I don't know whether it is trust deficit on the judiciary or on the Indian patenting system or what it is, I don't know, on the patent experts. But this is a very bad scenario where patent holders are not willing to take any legal action against their competitors. We have seen foreign entities doing it. If you take electronic industry, Ericsson has filed multiple litigation cases. If you see Mahindra, Tata, and many other Indian companies, nothing. They are just carrying a big, huge burden of their patent portfolio. That's it. So this has to be changed. Otherwise, in India, it will be just a formality, I guess, in future. So that is the reason many people may not be interested in buying. They are knowing they can get away with your patents, I guess. I don't know. I hope I answer your question.
So can I ask just one question, simple question? So what is the government doing for spreading awareness about the IP, and what steps are they taking in propagating this importance of IPR rights amongst the inventors and startups, etc.? Apart from giving them more financial support.
Right, financial support, they have done a lot of things in paper. But that is the reason I said that on paper there are a lot of things. I have not personally pursued anything. I have not helped anyone in getting those kind of funds, but there are a lot of things. So you can pursue those things. Up to 20 lakhs fundings are available for the startups. So that also you can, for patenting specifically. Okay, facilitators are there that I have seen working very well. So apart from that, there are a lot of, there is a institute, Rajiv Gandhi Intellectual Property Institute, that has been established in Nagpur specifically for training individual inventors in very low budget. So they are also trying their best. But looking at the population, we need a lot of strength, more strength to reach out to each and every person. That is what I can say.
Perfect.
I hope
Perfect. So there are no more questions. So with this, we'll conclude the session for today. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sunit, for taking out time and taking this session for us today. Thanks a lot.
All my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. You may sign out now. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.